You made one tiny mistake at the airport. It took 3 seconds. And because of those 3 seconds, a customs officer now has full access to your WhatsApp messages, your photos, your contact list, your deleted chats, and everything you have ever sent or received on your phone. No warrant, no court order, no warning. Just 3 seconds, one small misstep, and your entire digital life is now open for inspection by the United States Customs and Border Protection. And the worst part? Millions of people make this exact mistake every single day at airports across America, and they have absolutely no idea they are doing it. They walk through those doors confident, prepared, with all their documents in order, thinking they have done everything right. And then, one tiny, seemingly innocent action triggers a chain of events that can lead to a full device search, a missed flight, a visa denial, or worse, being turned away at the border and sent back home on the next available flight. Welcome to USA Visa. Explained, the channel where we break down everything you need to know about entering the United States, navigating customs and border protection, and protecting your rights at the border. Today we are talking about something that most travel bloggers, most visa consultants, and most YouTube channels are not telling you. We are talking about the 3-second mistake at the airport that gives CBP officers the legal authority to go through your WhatsApp, your Instagram DMs, your emails, your photos, and everything else on your phone. Stay with me until the very end of this video, because I am also going to tell you exactly what you should do instead, how to protect yourself legally, and what your actual rights are when you land in the United States. Let us start from the very beginning, because to understand why this 3-second mistake is so dangerous, you need to understand how Customs and Border Protection actually works and what legal powers these officers have. When you land in the United States, whether you are coming on a tourist visa, a student visa, a work visa, or even a green card, you are not yet legally inside the country. You are in a legal gray zone. Technically, you are on American soil, but you have not yet been admitted into the United States. This is a crucial distinction, because in this gray zone, the normal constitutional protections that apply to people inside the United States are significantly reduced. The Fourth Amendment, which protects American citizens and residents from unreasonable searches and seizures, does not apply with full force at the border. Courts have consistently upheld what is known as the border search exception, which gives customs officers broad authority to inspect people, their belongings, and yes, their electronic devices without needing a warrant and without needing to give a reason. This is not a secret. It is well-established law. But what most people do not know is how far this authority extends in practice, and what specific behaviors trigger a more intensive search of your electronic devices. CBP officers are trained to look for specific behavioral signals. They are trained to notice things that most travelers do not even realize they are doing. And one of the most common triggers, one of the things that most reliably makes a CBP officer decide to do a deeper look at your phone or your laptop, takes only 3 seconds and happens so naturally that you probably would not even think twice about it. So what is this 3-second mistake? The mistake is unlocking your phone while you are in the Customs and Border Protection area before you have been formally admitted into the United States. It sounds so simple, it sounds so innocent. You land after a long flight, you are tired, you are jet-lagged, maybe you are nervous about the customs inspection, and the first thing you do, almost automatically, is pick up your phone and unlock it. Maybe you want to check your messages. Maybe you want to text a family member that you have landed. Maybe you just want to check the time or pull up your hotel reservation. Maybe you are looking for the CBP mobile passport app or the electronic system for travel authorization confirmation. Whatever the reason, you unlock your phone, and a CBP officer sees you do it. That single action, which takes about 3 seconds, can be interpreted by a CBP officer as an implicit consent to inspect your device. It demonstrates that the device is operational, that you know the passcode or have the biometric unlock set up, and it opens the door for the officer to ask you, often in a tone that sounds like a command rather than a request, to hand over your phone. And here is where it gets really complicated and really important. When a CBP officer asks you to hand over your device, most people comply. Not because they have to, not because it is legally required in all circumstances, but because they are at the border, they are nervous, they do not know their rights, and the officer asking them sounds authoritative, so they hand over the phone. And if the phone is already unlocked, or if the officer asks them to unlock it and they do, then the officer now has access to everything on that device. Everything. Your WhatsApp conversations, your Telegram messages, your private photos and videos, your banking apps, your emails, your contacts, your location history, your deleted messages, if the officer uses the right tools, which CBP officers do have access to, all of it. And the information found on that device can be used to make a determination about whether to admit you into the United States. If an officer finds messages that suggest you are planning to work without authorization, or messages where you told a friend that you were going to overstay your visa, or photos that suggest you have been in the United States more times than you declared, or even messages about political views or religious beliefs that raise red flags in the officer's assessment, that information can be used against you. Right there, at the airport, with no lawyer present, no court, no appeal process in the moment. The officer can decide to put you on a plane back to your home country. This is not hypothetical. This happens. Thousands of people every year have their electronic devices searched at the U.S. border. The numbers have been increasing dramatically. According to CBP's own data, the number of electronic device searches at the border has gone up significantly in recent years. In one recent fiscal year, CBP conducted over 45,000 electronic device searches. That is more than 120 searches every single day. And the people who are searched are not just suspected criminals or people on watch lists. They are regular travelers, students going to university, tourists on vacation, business professionals attending conferences, people visiting family, people who have done nothing wrong, but who made one small behavioral mistake that flagged them for additional scrutiny. Now let us talk about the specific scenario in more detail, because the 3-second phone unlock is not the only way this can happen, but it is the most common, and understanding why it triggers a search helps you understand how to avoid it. CBP officers work in environments where they have to make quick assessments of hundreds, sometimes thousands, of people per day. They are looking for anomalies, for things that do not fit the expected pattern. And one thing they are specifically trained to look for is evidence that a traveler is trying to hide something. Now, here is the paradox. When you unlock your phone and start using it in the customs area, you probably feel like you have nothing to hide. You are just checking your messages. But to a trained CBP officer, what they see is someone who is actively using their device in a way that could mean they are deleting things or communicating with someone outside about the situation or accessing documents stored on the phone. It raises questions, and CBP officers are trained to follow up on questions. The other way the 3-second mistake manifests is when travelers try to switch off their phone or suddenly put it away, or visibly react when they see a CBP officer looking at them while they are on their phone. That sudden reactive behavior, which again takes only a few seconds, is a much stronger signal to a trained officer that something might be off. The attempt to conceal, even if you have nothing to hide, can itself become the trigger for additional scrutiny. So what should you do instead? Let me walk you through exactly what experts, immigration lawyers, and civil liberties organizations recommend. The first and most important recommendation is this. Before you land in the United States, back up your phone to the cloud and then consider what is on your device. You do not have to delete everything, but you should be aware of what is there. Are there messages that could be misinterpreted? Are there photos from previous trips that might raise questions about your travel history? Are there conversations that discuss your immigration plans in a way that might sound different to a CBP officer than they were intended? The American Civil Liberties Union and the Electronic Frontier Foundation Both recommend that travelers, especially non-citizens who are entering the United States, should minimize the data on their devices before crossing the border. This does not mean breaking any laws. It means being thoughtful about what you carry with you electronically, just as you would be thoughtful about what you carry in your suitcase. The second recommendation is about the unlock itself. Do not use your phone in the Customs and Border Protection processing area unless you absolutely need to. Keep it in your pocket or your bag. If you need to show a document, pull up only that document. Do not sit in the CBP waiting area scrolling through WhatsApp or Instagram. This is not the place to catch up on your messages. Wait until you have been formally admitted into the United States and have left the customs area. The third recommendation involves understanding the difference between being asked and being required. In the United States, at the border, CBP officers have broad authority, but there are still distinctions between a mandatory request and a discretionary one. If a CBP officer asks to see your device, you can ask whether you are required to comply. You can say, in a calm and respectful tone, "Am I legally required to provide access to my device?" Now, this may result in additional delays. It may result in your phone being detained, and it may increase scrutiny, but it is a legally legitimate question to ask. And an immigration lawyer will tell you that sometimes it is the right question to ask. However, and this is very important, the situation is different depending on your immigration status. If you are a U.S. citizen, CBP can detain your device, but they cannot deny you entry to the country based on your refusal to unlock your phone. If you are a non-citizen, the calculation is much more difficult because CBP does have the authority to deny you entry, and the bar for doing so is relatively low. This is why understanding your specific situation before you travel is so important. The fourth recommendation is about biometric locks. If your phone is set up with Face ID or fingerprint unlock, CBP officers can, in some circumstances, ask you to hold your phone up to your face or press your finger to the sensor in a way that unlocks it, which bypasses your ability to simply say no to providing a passcode. One way to address this is to disable biometric unlock before you enter the customs area. On most iPhones, pressing the side button and volume button simultaneously will disable Face ID temporarily and require a passcode. On most Android devices, there are similar options. This does not help you avoid being asked to unlock your phone, but it means the process requires you to actively provide a code rather than passively holding up your face. Now let us talk about what CBP is actually looking for when they search devices, because this is important context for understanding the risk. CBP officers searching electronic devices are typically looking for several categories of information. They are looking for evidence of immigration fraud, meaning information that contradicts what you told them about your reason for visiting, how long you plan to stay, or whether you have previous immigration violations. They are looking for evidence of criminal activity, including terrorism-related content, content related to drug trafficking, or other serious crimes. They are looking for information that relates to your admissibility under U.S. immigration law. But the reality is that the search is often much broader than these specific categories. Officers have access to everything on the device, and what they choose to look at and how they interpret it is largely at their discretion. A message to a friend saying, "I cannot wait to stay in New York forever," might be an expression of excitement about a trip. To a CBP officer, it could be read as evidence of intent to overstay a visa. Context is everything. And in a border search, the officer providing the context, not you. This is why immigration lawyers consistently advise travelers to be extremely careful about what they communicate about their trips in digital messages before they travel. Not because they should lie, but because casual, informal language in private messages can look very different when read out of context by someone who is specifically looking for reasons to be suspicious. Let us also talk about the visa application process itself, because the 3-second airport mistake does not exist in isolation. It is part of a broader picture of how the United States monitors and evaluates visitors, and understanding that broader picture helps you make better decisions at every stage of the process. When you apply for a U.S. visa, the State Department and CBP already have access to significant amounts of information about you. Your travel history, your previous visa applications and their outcomes, any previous encounters with CBP, information from other government agencies, and increasingly, information gathered from social media. The United States government has been expanding its collection of social media information from visa applicants. And while the specifics of how this information is used are not always transparent, it is clear that your online presence is part of the picture that CBP builds about you before you even step on the plane. This means that the content of your social media profiles, your public posts, and potentially your private messages, if they are accessed through a device search, are all part of the information ecosystem that CBP uses to make decisions about whether to admit you. The implications of this are significant. It means that preparing for a U.S. border crossing is not just about having the right documents. It is about understanding your entire digital footprint and being aware of how different pieces of information might be interpreted by an officer who is looking at you through the lens of potential immigration risk. Let us now talk specifically about WhatsApp, since that is the focus of our title today, and since it is the messaging platform that most international travelers use to communicate with family and friends. WhatsApp messages are end-to-end encrypted, which means that in transit, between your phone and the recipient's phone, the messages cannot be read by third parties, including government agencies, without access to one of the devices. But when a CBP officer has your unlocked phone in their hand, the encryption does not help you. The messages are decrypted on your device and visible in the app, just as they would be visible to you when you open the app. The officer can scroll through your conversations, read your messages, look at your photos and videos sent through WhatsApp, and see your contacts. Additionally, if WhatsApp backup is enabled on your device, there may be a backup of your messages stored on your Google Drive or iCloud. This backup can also potentially be accessed or requested as part of a border search or a subsequent legal process. The practical implication is that if you have conversations on WhatsApp that could be misinterpreted, that discuss your immigration plans in informal language, that mention working or earning money in the United States, or that contain anything else that a CBP officer might flag, those conversations are fully visible if your phone is searched. This does not mean you should delete all your messages before traveling, although some people and some organizations do recommend exactly that for high-risk situations. It means being aware of what is there and understanding the risk. Now let me address a question that comes up very frequently in our community here at USA. Visa Explained. Is it illegal to refuse to unlock your phone at the border? The answer is nuanced. It is not a criminal offense for a non-citizen to refuse to unlock their phone at the border. But CBP does have the authority to deny you entry if they are not satisfied with the level of cooperation you provide. And they can detain your device for up to 5 days for a basic search and potentially longer for a more advanced forensic search, even if you are ultimately admitted into the country. For us citizens, the situation is different. A citizen cannot be denied entry for refusing to provide a phone password, but their device can still be detained, and they can face significant delays and additional questioning. The practical reality is that most travelers, when faced with a uniformed border officer in an official government facility, will comply with a request to unlock their phone. This is understandable. The power dynamics in that situation are real. And the consequences of non-compliance, even if technically legal, can be severe enough that many people choose not to exercise that right. Which brings us back to the core message of this video. The best way to protect yourself is not to refuse at the border, but to be prepared before you get there. To minimize the risk before you step off the plane. To understand what is on your device, and to make thoughtful decisions about what you carry with you electronically. Let us also talk about what to do if your device is searched and you believe the search was unlawful or exceeded CBP's authority. In the moment at the border, your options are very limited. You cannot stop the search once it has begun, and arguing with a CBP officer is likely to make your situation worse, not better. The time to address an unlawful search is after the fact, not during it. If you believe your device was searched unlawfully, or if you were denied entry in a way you believe was improper, you can file a complaint with the Department of Homeland Security's Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. You can also contact an immigration lawyer to assess your options. Organizations like the ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation also document cases of border searches and can provide resources and, in some cases, legal support. Keeping a detailed record of what happened, including the officer's badge number if possible, the time and location of the search, and what the officer said and did, is important if you plan to pursue any kind of complaint or legal action. Now let me bring this all together with the key takeaways that I want you to leave this video with. The 3-second mistake of unlocking your phone in the CBP processing area is real, it is common, and it can have serious consequences. Not because unlocking your phone is itself illegal or wrong, but because it can trigger a chain of events that leads to a full device search, which gives CBP access to your WhatsApp messages, your photos, your emails, and everything else on your device. Understanding your rights at the border is essential, but equally important is minimizing risk before you arrive. Back up your device before you travel. Be thoughtful about what digital information you carry. Do not use your phone unnecessarily in the customs area. Know the difference between what you are asked to do and what you are legally required to do. And above all, be aware that entering the United States is not a simple formality, even if you have a valid visa and all your documents in order. CBP officers have broad authority, and the decisions they make at the border can have life-changing consequences. Taking the time to prepare properly, to understand the process, and to protect yourself is not paranoia. It is common sense. We have covered a lot of ground in this video, and I hope it has been genuinely useful for you. If you have questions about your specific situation, about your visa type, or about what to do if you have already had a device searched at the border, please leave your question in the comments below. Our team reads every comment, and we do our best to respond and to create follow-up videos on the topics that matter most to our community. If this video helped you understand something that you did not know before, please do one thing right now. Share it. Share it with a friend who is traveling to the United States. Share it in a travel group. Share it with a family member who is applying for a U.S. visa. The information in this video could genuinely make a difference between someone being admitted into the United States and someone being put on a plane back home. That is not an exaggeration. That is the reality of how border enforcement works today. And if you are not yet subscribed to USA Visa Explained, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. We publish new content regularly on everything related to US visas, border procedures, immigration rights, and how to navigate one of the most complex immigration systems in the world. We are here to make sure that you are informed, prepared, and protected every time you travel to the United States. Because knowledge is your best protection at any border, and you deserve to have that knowledge before you need it, not after. Thank you for watching USA Visa Explained. Stay informed, stay prepared, and we will see you in the next video.